My name is Mark Ellis from Stick and Rudder Studios, and today I want to take you through a tutorial of FS-ATC-Chatter version 1.2. And in this tutorial, we're going to show you how to install the product and how to operate it and configure it and get clip updates if you purchase the full clip set. Okay, so FS-ATC-Chatter, there are two distributions for it, and I'm going to show you here really quickly in my downloads directory what they look like. So FS-ATC-Chatter is distributed as a demo version, and the demo zip file is named FS-ATC-Chatter 1.2 demo.zip. Now, this distribution contains the standalone player and a little over 400 clips in the United States. It's completely free. You can download it, use it. It'll work with FS 2020, it'll work with P3D, FSX, and you can even take the 400 demo clips and copy them over and put them into Pilot to ATC if you want to try it with Pilot to ATC, which has its own built-in demo player or chatter player. You can optionally purchase the full clip set, which at the moment contains over 29,000 ATC clips from all over the world. And that you could purchase either directly on the Stick and Rudder Studios website. It's also available over on SimMarket. When you download that, you're going to get a zip file called FS-ATC-Chatter 1.2 full.zip. And as you can see by the size, it's quite a bit bigger because this is going to contain the full clip collection of, like I said, over 29,000 clips. So once you get these down, what you're going to want to do is then unzip it to a temporary folder. So I'm going to work with the demo clip set, primarily because it's smaller and it's a little easier to move it around and do it. And I also have an existing 1.0 FS-ATC-Chatter installation. So actually I'm going to show you not only how would you install it raw, but if you were going to do an update, okay, from a previous version. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to right click. I use 7-zip. You can use whatever zip utility you want. And I'm going to go ahead and extract this, okay, to this temporary folder right here called FS-ATC-Chatter 1.2 demo. And in here, you're going to see an FS-ATC-Chatter folder. And if we actually look inside this is where you've got all the executables. The regions folder here is going to have the 400 demo clips in it. If you look at it here, you've got the various regions, and within the regions, you've got the controllers, et cetera, with the in the end the MP3 files, okay, that are part of those individual controllers. Okay, so we'll come back up to here, and what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take this FS-ATC-Chatter folder and you're going to copy and put it wherever you want to run it from. Now, that means you could typically put this in the root of your C drive, maybe the root of your D drive. You could make a custom folder in any of your disk drives and dump it in there if you wish. The one thing you don't want to do is you don't need to put this inside of any of the Microsoft Flight Simulator folders. It doesn't operate like a plugin. It's its own separate executable. So it's not like a drop-in where you're expecting the Flight Simulator to automatically see it and install it. Put it someplace outside of the Microsoft folders. So in my case, I've actually got an existing installation over on the root of my C drive. So I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to copy this. And then I'm going to go right over to my root of my C drive, and you'll see that I've got an FS-ATC-Chatter installation here. This happens to be 1.0. And if you didn't have an existing installation, you would just paste that FS-ATC-Chatter folder right here. In my case, I'm going to do an upgrade, so I'm going to paste it here and allow it to overwrite anything that is already in this folder. So we'll come in here and we'll just do a paste. And you can see here that it thinks it wants to replace there's roughly, like I said, 400 demo clips that need to be replaced, as well as all of the binary files and the user guide and that type of thing. So we'll go ahead and say, go ahead and replace it. Okay, now if that were a brand new installation, whether it be the demo or the full clip set, you know, you would have everything that you need in this folder. Now let's go ahead and open it up here and take a look and see what's inside here. As I said, we've got the regions, which has all the clips. And by the way, if you are going to run this with Pilot ATC, this is the folder you're going to want to copy over to Pilot ATC. And there's a whole tutorial video on how to set this up to run with Pilot ATC. In our case here, we're going to run the standalone player. And here's the executable that you need to run, FS-ATC-Chatter.exe. Keep in mind that if you have Windows Explorer set up to not show extensions, you might not see the .exe in here, but you will see this little icon here for FS-ATC-Chatter. Now, you can run it directly here, but what a lot of people do is they'll just do a right click and they'll do a pin to taskbar, which would then put FS-ATC-Chatter down in the taskbar like this. Okay? And then once you've got it here, let's go ahead and close these out. Shut down this presentation. And let's just run it. And it should come up and you'll see the controller here. Now in my case, one of the new features of FS-ATC-Chatter 1.2 is it does have the ability to look and see if there are new clips that have been added to the purchase clip library. And if there are some new ones, it'll give you this little dialog that asks if you want to update it. So I'm going to say no for right now. Okay, we'll look at that actually in a minute. Okay, and I actually have Microsoft Flight Simulator running over here. I got it the volume turned down on it so you don't have to hear the engines running, but you could see that it went right ahead and it connected okay to the simulator. Okay. Now, how does this all work? First off, what you're going to find over here on the left is all of these region checkboxes, and next to each region shows you the total number of clips, okay, that are in each region. If you want to play clips from the United States, you check the box. If you want to play clips from the United States and Canada, you could check two boxes. And as you could see, when I did that, over here you have the clip counts for those selected regions for each of the different types of controllers. Unicom, clearance delivery, departure ground, departure tower. These are all of the MP3 files, okay, that would be in here. Now, you do have to check something. I think the United States will default, but if you don't check anything, you'll see now there's no clips at all to play. So I'm going to go ahead and turn on the United States, okay? There's also a little checkbox up here called Play Chatter that you're going to want to have turned on in order to hear the chatter. And there's a little volume slider here that would control how loud the clips are going to be played. I'm going to have it turned up full bore here so we can hear it. Now, one other thing, you'll notice here that there's a little message here called out of range. FS-ATC-Chatter has a couple of ways it can operate. By default, what it will do is look at what frequency you have tuned in your radios. And then it has actually a complete frequency database where it knows where your plane is and it knows what ATC facilities are in the area around your plane, to a range of maybe 40, 50 nautical miles, okay? And if your radio is tuned to a frequency of a facility that is within that radius, it will start playing the type of chatter that is associated with that facility, whether that's a ground frequency or maybe a tower frequency for an airport, okay? In this case, it's saying out of range because I'm tuned to a frequency, okay, that it doesn't currently think is in the area, like 121.5. I'm actually at the Lebanon Municipal Airport in New Hampshire, and this is not one of the frequencies at the airport, and there frankly is no other frequency at 121.5, okay, that's anywhere near near that, okay. So if I want to tune this, okay, now to a frequency that's at the airport, I could either go right into the cockpit and do it, but there's also this little nearest facility pop up here that will show me all of the frequencies, okay, within a 40 nautical mile range, okay? And you can see right now none of the check boxes are checked. So let's say I'm going to come in here and I I either can manually go into the cockpit and tune the radio to 125.95, which is the Lebanon tower frequency, but I can also do it right here by clicking on this. And if I do this, I should start to hear some chatter.
989, turn left heading 290 and maintain 5,000.
Left 290, 5,000, Shibu 989.
989, that's for traffic. You can expect vectors to rejoin the pass 5, contact departure. Good night.
Shibu 989, see you.
And I'm just going to uncheck that now so I can talk a little bit. You'll notice that it did connect to the departure tower controller automatically because it knows that 125.95 is associated with tower. If I actually came over here now and let's say I go to Lebanon ground, you'll notice to check the ground controller. And if I start playing chatter, we'll hear ground chatter.
Ground F 3845 North, ready to taxi information's here.
Number 3840 around good morning, Sierra, start on 8 right, taxi via Echo.
8 right via Echo and F 3840.
Okay, so you see how that works. Now, if you don't want to have it doing it automatically, you can bring up the settings dialog here, and there is a way to control how that works. So you'll notice here that under the radios tab, I have automatically determined controller type based upon your comm frequency. If I shut that off, what that's going to allow me to do now is I can manually select, I have to close this, I can manually select what kind of chatter I want to hear.
Southwest 312, connect approach on 124.35, connect.
Southwest 312, good day. I'm sorry, 2435.
Traffic, Trinidad 341 Tango Bravo, turning left base for runway 7.
Yes, good morning. Delta 571 at Alpha 5 with offset, ready to...
Okay, so you see how that works. Most people will operate this, okay, with the automatically determines controller type, okay? You also have the ability to only play chatter when your COM 1 and COM 2 radios are powered up. And if I were to go in and turn off, with this turned on, this enabled, if I were to go in and shut off the avionics power in the cockpit, what will end up happening is this COM 1 and COM 2 radio buttons up here will turn red, and we'll get a little message saying that there's no power to the radios. Now, one thing I want to caution you, particularly with FS 2020, a number of the planes are not maintaining the proper SIM-Connect variable for the radio power. So if this does not work, okay, with a particular plane, you may need to disable this, in which case it'll always play chatter even when you don't have the radios turned on. And that's just unique. And what I would recommend is if you do run into an aircraft that's not properly maintaining the radio status and SIM-Connect, send a note to the designers, the aircraft authors, so that they can fix that, because they really should get that corrected, okay? This checkbox here, use whichever radio is enabled for transmit. If you switch between COM 1 and COM 2 in the 3D cockpit as to which radio you're transmitting on, these radio buttons up here will follow it. Without that checked, you have to manually pick which COM radio we're going to be looking at the frequency on, okay? Under output devices, you have a choice of where you want the sound to go. The primary sound driver is going to basically be whatever you have set up in Windows as your default output device. Some people like to have, you know, their aircraft engines and sounds coming through a set of speakers, but maybe you want to hear your ATC and your chatter come through a set of headphones. So this will allow you to change where that's going to come from, okay? You can set up some joystick assignments. As an example, if you want to manually toggle playback on and off, you know, you can assign a key to that. A momentary mute would be something where as you press the button, it'll basically stop the chatter for a little bit. That's particularly useful if you're trying to have like a push to talk button that you're using to talk, you know, on a network, you know, traffic program or whatever, and you want to stop the chatter, okay? You can also assign joystick buttons to manually pick the controllers, like previous controller, next controller, and toggle visibility is whether or not this, you know, the control panel is maximized or minimized, okay? And finally, under miscellaneous, you've got what the minimum and maximum delay times are between clips. And these are randomized, okay? So if I set it to 5, it'll randomly pick the minimum delay between clips, and it's going to be, you know, at least greater than 5 seconds, okay? And the maximum delay is how long do we wait. It'll never go over 30 seconds, and I can adjust these, okay? You have a checkbox here called Keep FS-ATC-Chatter windows on top of all other windows. That's in the case if you want to have this control panel all the way up, and you've got a single monitor and you're running the flight simulator, you can have this be over the top of the flight simulator, okay? You can have it so that minimize the main window when FS-ATC-Chatter starts. So when you start it up, it'll minimize it right down to the tray so that you don't have to see it. Close FS-ATC-Chatter when the simulator shuts down. So if I shut down FS-2020, FS-ATC-Chatter will stop at the same time. This checkbox will show you if there's a new version of the player available. In this checkbox will show you if there's any new audio clips available that have been submitted by volunteers that we've curated and put up into the collection set. Okay, and as long as we're up here now, for those of you who are upgrading from 1.0 to 1.2, there are very likely, okay, some new clips that have been added since the time you downloaded 1.0 with all of the updates. So we could do a real quick check now. And you can see that it's gone up and it sees that our installed files are 29,519, but up on the server, there's 29,914. So there's 405 new United States clips. There are also 10 obsolete files. These would be files where there might have been an error in them, and somebody reported it, and what we did is we deleted that file from the clip collection, or maybe corrected it and gave it a new name. So in this case, I can come in here and I can check these, and what it will do is it'll download the 405 new files, and it will delete these 10 obsolete files. And you can see it goes at a pretty good rate. And the update's complete. So I think this gives you a pretty good idea of how to install FS-ATC-Chatter and how to operate it. You know, it's fairly intuitive and easy to do, and I hope you enjoy it. One thing I would like to point out is this player, particularly if you've got automatic controllers turned on where it's trying to figure out what to play based upon what frequency you're tuned to, it does work off of a frequency database. And the frequency database that it ships with is pretty closely matched to FS-2020. If you're using this on FSX or the various versions of P3D, it very well could be that in those simulators, the frequency database does not line up perfectly, okay, with the one we ship this with. And the way you'll see this is that if you're using the ATC within the simulator, it'll ask you to tune to frequencies. And what will end up happening is when you do that, you'll end up with an out of range here. And that typically indicates that the simulator's ATC, what it thinks the frequencies are for where you're at, and what FS-ATC-Chatter's frequency database thinks is available at that latitude and longitude don't match up. There is a free tool called a nav data reader tool that's actually used as part of a little nav map. We use the same kind of format of the database. And you can use that to read all of your scenery files and create an updated COM database if you feel that's necessary. Like I said, it should generally work pretty good if you're using FS-2020. And where you'll notice it is if you're using ATC within the simulator and it's telling you to tune to things and you're getting it out of range, that's a good indication you might need to use that nav data reader tool. And there is a tutorial video up on the Stick and Rudder Studios website that'll walk you through how to do that. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and we also hope that you enjoy FS-ATC-Chatter. Thank you very much.